I was banned from my own family's yacht trip without a conversation, without warning, just quietly erased. My name vanished from the guest list, and someone else slid into my cabin like I had never existed. The worst part was not the exclusion. The worst part was how long I tried to believe it was accidental. How many dinners I sat through pretending I had a seat at their table. Then a deckhand looked me in the eye and said, "Welcome aboard, owner." I laughed, because it was true. And the way their faces tightened in that moment told me the truth terrified them more than the lie ever did. My name is Rachel. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, in a restored shotgun house with peeling paint on the porch rail that I keep meaning to fix. I run a logistics consulting firm that started as me, a laptop, and a rented storage unit that smelled like wet cardboard. My husband, Andrew, is an attorney who likes crisp suits and clean lines. His family, the Hawthorns, likes polished silver and the kind of silence that makes you question your own memory. I start my mornings slow. Coffee in a chipped ceramic mug, sunrise spilling through the kitchen window, the city waking up with gull cries and distant traffic. That morning, Andrew had already left, his cologne lingering behind him and a half-eaten banana on the counter like a careless punctuation mark. I was scrolling out of habit when I saw my niece-in-law, June, post a looping video of champagne flutes clinking against a bright strip of ocean. A yacht rail gleamed in the background. The caption read, "Hawthorne Sail Week. Here we go." My thumb froze. The annual yacht trip. A tradition I had been invited to exactly twice since marrying Andrew. The first time I suggested we rotate destinations, and Cassandra, my sister-in-law, stared at me like I had asked to rename the family. The second time, Cassandra made it clear I was a guest, not family, by seating me near the kitchen door while her yoga instructor sat beside Elaine, my mother-in-law, in the best light for photos. I clicked into more posts. Familiar faces. Elaine with a mimosa, smiling like she had never said anything sharp in her life. Cassandra in linen, her grin practiced. Andrew in the background, not looking at the camera. Everyone except me. I checked the family group chat anyway, the one Andrew added me to years ago and later removed after what he called a seating mix-up. No chat, no message, not even a courtesy email. My coffee cooled beside me and my pulse did not race. It went still. That sinking stillness that feels like a door locking while you are inside the house. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from Cassandra. Except it was not meant for me. It was a screenshot of a group thread with cabin assignments. One name had been crossed out. Rachel. Next to it, confirmed for Brielle. Brielle was Cassandra friend from her boutique Pilates studio, the one who once asked me if I handled Andrew's scheduling. A voice note followed, Cassandra laughing, saying, "At least the energy on board will not be so tight this year." Tight. I set the phone down and listened to the sink water run. Steady as a heartbeat I refused to show. At dinner, I asked Andrew lightly if his family was planning another trip. He said yes. His mother mentioned it. They were finalizing the list. I asked if I was on it. He frowned, said of course. Why would I not be? Then he went back to his phone like reassurance was a task he could outsource to tomorrow. After he fell asleep, I stared at the ceiling fan and replayed every quiet exclusion. Birthdays I heard about later. Brunches revealed by stories. Conversations that stopped when I walked in. Before I turned off the lamp, I opened my journal and wrote one line. Watch. Do not react yet. The next morning, Cassandra texted, "Sweet poison, wrapped in politeness." She said they may have missed reserving a spot for me. Her oversight, the trip filled fast. Sorry. Hope to catch up after. No offer to fix it. No question. Just a neat little erasure dressed up as logistics. I did not respond. I could not trust my fingers. Mid-morning, an email landed from the charter company. Cancellation, confirmation, cabin release processed. The request was logged 3 days prior. Requester name, Cassandra Hawthorne. My vision narrowed, not from tears, from pressure. I forwarded the email to myself and printed it. Crisp paper, black ink, clean truth. I slid it into a folder I kept for tax and property documents. The kind of folder you only open when you are ready to stop hoping and start proving. When Andrew got home, I waited until he had a drink in hand. I told him Cassandra claimed she forgot to reserve my spot. He frowned, not shocked, more annoyed at inconvenience. I told him I had the cancellation email submitted by Cassandra days ago. He stared at the bottle like it might explain. He said maybe she thought plans changed. Maybe we were not coming. I said she replaced my name with someone else. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a receipt. He went quiet. In that quiet, I heard everything. That night, I opened my laptop and started a list titled, Things I Let Slide. It poured out. Bridal shower invites never sent. Holiday itineraries without my name. A family photo where I was cropped at the shoulder. A charity event I organized that Cassandra introduced as her vision. The list made my jaw ache. Not from anger, from clarity. Then a new message arrived from someone I barely knew. A vendor assistant who had emailed me once about catering options. She attached a screenshot from a thread that was not meant for me. Cassandra wrote, "Do not worry. She is not coming." I handled it. I stared at those words until the room dimmed. Then I opened the folder again and added the printouts. This was never about a cabin. It was about being erased with a smile. I sat on the edge of my bed with the folder on my lap and remembered the yacht itself. Not as a symbol of their legacy, but as the first thing I ever bought that no one handed to me. It came from 5 years of late nights, skipped vacations, and investor meetings where men called me agreeable and suggested I partner with someone more aggressive. They meant male. They just did not say it. Back then I ran deliveries when drivers quit. I steam-pressed second-hand blazers in gas station bathrooms. When my company finally turned a real profit, I did not buy a designer bag. I bought the yacht quietly through a broker in Florida, a sleek 48-foot vessel with seafoam trim. I named her Silver Halcyon because I wanted a calm place after years of turbulence. I signed the check with steady hands and felt a kind of silence settle inside me, the good kind, and then I made the mistake that felt practical at the time. I put Andrew's name on the ownership papers too, because our accountant said it made tax matters cleaner. Better for trusts. Easier later. Easier later turned into family lore. The Hawthorne Sea tradition. Andrew's yacht. Cassandra once raised a glass at brunch and said it was meaningful to have traditions tied to something they owned as a family. She glanced at me and added that it was wonderful that Rachel supported it. Supported it. Like I was an event planner, not the reason the boat existed. A few days earlier, a lifestyle podcast clip popped up in my feed. Cassandra in white linen on the upper deck, smiling at a host, talking about the yacht like it was her heritage. She said it represented continuity and the Hawthorne name. That clip hit me harder than the cancellation email. They were not just keeping me off the boat. They were cutting me from the story. I pulled out every document I had tucked away. Purchase agreement, wire transfers, broker confirmations, photos of the first day I stepped aboard alone, palm on the rail, whispering to myself that I built this. I laid the papers across my bed like evidence in a trial I had avoided prosecuting for years. My resolve tightened, not hot, not loud, just steel. That evening, Cassandra went live during a candlelit family dinner. I did not search. The notification appeared like a dare. Long table, gold rim plates, soft music, a caption about legacy and love. Elaine beamed at the head of the table. Cassandra sat center. Andrew sat a little to the side, sipping wine. No one had mentioned this dinner to me. It was orchestration. Cassandra stood to toast. She spoke about gathering and tradition, about bringing only those who understood what their legacy meant, those who added, not subtracted. A blade wrapped in velvet. I rewound and watched the sentence again, memorizing the exact shape of it. Andrew did not flinch on screen. That hurt more than her words. When he came home, I played the clip for him. He said Cassandra liked theatrics. He said it was just a dinner. I said it was a statement, and he sat through it. His silence was resigned. I felt something inside me settle into place like a lock turning. The next morning, I printed a transcript of her toast and highlighted the legacy line. I added it to the folder. Then I texted Cassandra one sentence. I hope your speech felt honest. We will see how it holds up in person. No emojis. No explanation. I booked a car to the marina in St. Michael's, Maryland, where the yacht was scheduled to depart. I did not pack sunscreen. I packed receipts. Andrew watched me lay documents into protective sleeves like I was preparing for court. He asked if I slept. I said enough. I told him I was going to Maryland the next day. He said it was too soon, that we could talk to them. I told him they made it loud. I was responding in kind. He said he did not want to choose between me and his family. I told him he did not have to choose, but he had to stop pretending. His mouth opened and closed. Answer enough. By late afternoon, a friend from his side, a quiet cousin named Tessa, texted me a screenshot of the boarding manifest. 10 names. Not mine. The heading read, confirmed. Cassandra had done it officially, professionally, with the kind of confidence that comes from believing you will never be challenged. I reopened the old group thread Andrew once removed me from and typed 3 words. See you tomorrow. Read receipts lit up. No replies. That night I called our attorney's office. I asked for confirmation of ownership rights. The assistant said I was listed as co-owner with full equal rights. I asked for a clean PDF and a printed copy. Then I zipped my suitcase shut. Inside was not vacation clothing. It was years of swallowed words, folded neatly, ready to be unpacked on my terms. The sky over the Chesapeake was still gray when I stepped out of the car. The marina smelled like salt and diesel and money that did not need to introduce itself. My coat flapped lightly in the wind. I wore a simple navy dress, structured and plain, because this was not about glamour. This was about being undeniable. My suitcase wheels clicked across the dock in a steady rhythm that calmed me. I saw Cassandra near the boarding gate, hair pinned, smile ready, champagne flute held like a prop. She was mid-conversation with a guest I did not recognize, someone in beige linen who looked like he belonged in a brochure. Cassandra glanced up. For one breath, her face stopped moving, eyes narrowing, lips parting, the smallest crack in her composure. Then she smoothed it over like she always did. Elaine turned. A few cousins pivoted their bodies, forming a soft barrier with polite shoulders and practiced silence. Andrew stood slightly behind them, hands in his pockets, not walking toward me, not walking away. I did not slow. I did not greet anyone. I nodded once and rolled my suitcase past their circle, as if their social choreography could not bend reality. The crew at the gangway did not flinch. A woman in a navy blazer stepped aside and offered a subtle nod that felt like respect. I rolled my suitcase up the ramp. The teak under my heels made a quiet, confident sound. I paused at the rail and looked out over the water, letting the wind push against my face. Then the lead crew member spoke, clear and loud enough to carry across the dock. "Welcome aboard, Ms. Rachel. The owner is now aboard." The air changed. I did not have to turn to know Cassandra's face tightened. That one word, owner, pierced her narrative like a nail through silk. The crew member lowered her voice only for me and said they were waiting for my clearance before departure. I met her eyes and said proceed. Engines hummed. The boat eased away from the dock. Land drifted back like it was reluctant. I set my suitcase down and gripped the railing, not to hold on, but to remind myself I was not floating anymore. I was anchored in truth. I stayed in the lounge, sipping lemon water, watching people try to recover. Cassandra paced, adjusting centerpieces, realigning place cards, touching objects like they could restore control. She whispered to her husband, Grant, who kept forcing laughter that sounded too sharp. Elaine sat with her jaw clenched, her gaze fixed anywhere but me. Andrew hovered at the edge of the room like a man trying to be invisible in his own life. Cassandra stepped onto the upper deck with her phone and began a live stream. Her voice turned syrupy, thanking everyone for honoring tradition, talking about legacy and loyalty. She angled the camera for the best light. I watched from below, expression calm. Then a deckhand walked behind her and said, casually, "Glad to have you aboard again, Miss Rachel, the owner." Cassandra froze mid-sentence. The stream caught it. You could hear the engine and a distant laugh dying out. Comments flooded in fast, confused and curious. Owner. Wait. She is the owner. Cassandra tapped her screen, trying to end the feed, but the moment already belonged to the internet. 10 minutes later, she found me in the corridor. She hissed that I planned it. I asked what I planned. A man doing his job. She said I did not belong. I told her I did not need to belong. I bought my place. Her eyes flashed with rage and humiliation. Then she turned away, shoulders stiff, as if she could walk back into control by refusing to look at me. That night at dinner, Cassandra stood again to toast, stubbornly returning to her script. She spoke about integrity and family assets, and who carried tradition with intention. She did not say my name. She did not have to. The whole room felt like a held breath. I stood when she finished. My voice was calm, not loud, not trembling, I said I would like to contribute to the conversation about legacy. Cassandra froze, glass midair. I opened my folder and placed a transcript in the center of the table, printed on letterhead from the legal consultant she used. I tapped a highlighted line. She is not blood. She should not own a family asset. Silence dropped like a curtain. Elaine blinked rapidly. A cousin leaned forward. Andrew's face drained of color. Then I slid the purchase agreement onto the table. I pointed to the wire transfer history, my name on every line. I said this yacht was built for my work, my risk, my money. I said I had spent years letting people speak over me because it was easier than being seen as difficult. I said I was done. This was not about being included. This was about being visible. If they wanted to talk about legacy, they could start with the truth. Andrew finally spoke, voice rough. He asked Cassandra why. Cassandra stammered that she was protecting the family, that she did not think, that she assumed I would not care. I told her she assumed I would stay quiet. She was almost right. A friend of the family, a man named Howard, said he thought everyone had been told a different version. Others murmured agreement. Not dramatic outrage, just realization. Elaine tried to suggest tabling it. I said no. I said you do not table a person. You either acknowledge them or you admit you erased them. I gathered my papers with care, like a surgeon closing an incision. Before I left the salon, I said if anyone wanted the truth, they should ask the person with receipts, not the person with the loudest speech. Then I walked out into the clean night air and listened to the ocean slap the hull, steady as a verdict. Later in our cabin, Andrew stood by the dresser folding a shirt he had not worn. He said he thought he always knew, not the extent, but he saw things. He said he should have spoken up. He said he kept hoping it would work itself out. He did not look at me when he admitted he let Cassandra write the script because he did not want to ruin the show. I told him he still let it go on too long. He said he knew. I did not forgive him in that moment. I did not punish him either. I simply let the truth sit between us, heavy and real, the way it should have from the beginning. The next morning, the yacht was quieter. People moved like they were careful not to disturb something fragile. Cassandra did not appear at breakfast. Elaine approached me later on the deck and said she did not see it before, but she did now. It was not an apology. It was recognition. I nodded once. That was all. By the time we returned to shore, the story had already escaped into the world through Cassandra's failed live stream and the whispers of witnesses. But the most important shift was inside me. I was not fighting to be invited anymore. I was choosing who deserved access to my life. A week later in Charleston, I hosted a Sunday brunch in my own dining room. Simple food, warm coffee, sunlight on the table. I invited a few people who had shown me quiet respect. Not everyone with a famous last name. Andrew made the coffee. He did it carefully, like a man learning how to be present. That afternoon, I found an old note from my father tucked into a keepsake box. It said, "Do not fight for a seat. Build your own table." I sat with it for a long time. Here is what I learned. Subtle exclusion trains you to doubt yourself. It turns your instincts into questions and your dignity into something you barter for crumbs. The only antidote is truth, spoken plainly, backed by evidence, delivered without begging. When someone tries to erase you, do not scream into their performance. Step into the light and let reality name you correctly. If you have ever been made to feel like an outsider in your own family, if you have ever swallowed your voice to keep peace, I want to hear you. Tell me what your turning point was. And if you are still waiting for it, let this be your reminder. You do not need permission to take up space. You just need the courage to stop pretending you do not already own it.